Greetings from Exam Heist. We have identified important exam questions. Practice these important questions 2-3 times to get 100% success in exam. Subscribe and comment, share PDF in the below comment section to get PDF of these 40 important questions. If you want to access full dump, please visit www.examheist.com. We have 24/7 support available for your doubts and exam queries.
Question 1. Which event is user interaction? Option A. Gaining root access. Option B. Executing remote code. Option C. Reading and writing file permission. Option D. Opening a malicious file. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D. Opening a malicious file. Question 2. Which security principle requires more than one person is required to perform a critical task? Option A. Least privilege. Option B. Need to know. Option C. Separation of duties. Option D. Due diligence. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C. Separation of duties. Question 3. How is attacking a vulnerability categorized? Option A. Action on objectives. Option B. Delivery. Option C. Exploitation. Option D. Installation. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C. Exploitation. Question 4. What is a benefit of agent-based protection when compared to agentless protection? Option A. It lowers maintenance costs. Option B. It provides a centralized platform. Option C. It collects and detects all traffic locally. Option D. It manages numerous devices simultaneously. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. It provides a centralized platform. Question 5. Which principle is being followed when an analyst gathers information relevant to a security incident to determine the appropriate course of action? Option A. Decision making. Option B. Rapid response. Option C. Data mining. Option D. Due diligence. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. Decision making. Question 6. One of the objectives of information security is to protect the CIA of information and systems. What does CIA mean in this context? Option A. Confidentiality, identity, and authorization. Option B. Confidentiality, integrity, and authorization. Option C. Confidentiality, identity, and availability. Option D. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Question 7. What is rule-based detection when compared to statistical detection? Option A. Proof of a user's identity. Option B. Proof of a user's action. Option C. Likelihood of user's action. Option D. Falsification of a user's identity. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. Proof of a user's action. Question 8. A user received a malicious attachment but did not run it. Which category classifies the intrusion? Option A. Weaponization. Option B. Reconnaissance. Option C. Installation. Option D. Delivery. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D. Delivery. Question 9. Which process is used when IPS events are removed to improve data integrity? Option A. Data availability. Option B. Data normalization. Option C. Data signature. Option D. Data protection. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. Data normalization. Question 10. An analyst is investigating an incident in a SOC environment. Which method is used to identify a session from a group of logs? Option A. Sequence numbers. Option B. IP identifier. Option C. 5-tuple. Option D. Timestamps. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C, 5-tuple. Question 11. What is the difference between SOA and SIEM? Option A. SOA platforms are used for threat and vulnerability management, but SIEM applications are not. Option B. SIEM applications are used for threat and vulnerability management, but SOA platforms are not. Option C. SOA receives information from a single platform and delivers it to a SIEM. Option D. SIEM receives information from a single platform and delivers it to a SOA. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. SOA platforms are used for threat and vulnerability management, but SIEM applications are not. Question 12. What is the difference between mandatory access control, MAC, and discretionary access control, DAC? Option A. MAC is controlled by the discretion of the owner and DAC is controlled by an administrator. Option B. MAC is the strictest of all levels of control and DAC is object-based access. Option C. DAC is controlled by the operating system and MAC is controlled by an administrator. Option D. DAC is the strictest of all levels of control and MAC is object-based access. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. MAC is the strictest of all levels of control and DAC is object-based access. Question 13. What is the practice of giving employees only those permissions necessary to perform their specific role within an organization? Option A. Least privilege. Option B. Need to know. Option C. Integrity validation. Option D. Due diligence. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A, least privilege. Question 14. What is the virtual address space for a Windows process? Option A. Physical location of an object in memory. Option B. Set of pages that reside in the physical memory. Option C. System-level memory protection feature built into the operating system. Option D. Set of virtual memory addresses that can be used. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D, set of virtual memory addresses that can be used. Question 15. Which security principle is violated by running all processes as root or administrator? Option A. Principle of least privilege. Option B. Role-based access control. Option C. Separation of duties. Option D. Trusted computing base. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A, principle of least privilege. Question 16. What is the function of a command and control server? Option A. It enumerates open ports on a network device. Option B. It drops secondary payload into malware. Option C. It is used to regain control of the network after a compromise. Option D. It sends instruction to a compromised system. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D, it sends instruction to a compromised system. Question 17. What is the difference between deep packet inspection and stateful inspection? Option A. Deep packet inspection is more secure than stateful inspection on layer 4. Option B. Stateful inspection verifies contents at layer 4 and deep packet inspection verifies connection at layer 7. Option C. Stateful inspection is more secure than deep packet inspection on layer 7. Option D. Deep packet inspection allows visibility on layer 7 and stateful inspection allows visibility on layer 4. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D. Deep packet inspection allows visibility on layer 7 and stateful inspection allows visibility on layer 4. Question 18. Which evasion technique is a function of ransomware? Option A. Extended sleep calls. Option B. Encryption. Option C. Resource exhaustion. Option D. Encoding. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B, encryption. Question 19. Refer to the exhibit. Which two elements in the table are parts of the 5-tuple? Choose 2. Option A, first packet. Option B, initiator user. Option C, ingress security zone. Option D, source port. Option A, initiator IP. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D, source port. Option E, initiator IP. Question 20. What is the difference between statistical detection and rule-based detection models? Option A. Rule-based detection involves the collection of data in relation to the behavior of legitimate users over a period of time. Option B. Statistical detection defines legitimate data of users over a period of time, and rule-based detection defines it on an if-then basis. Option C. Statistical detection involves the evaluation of an object on its intended actions before it executes that behavior. Option D. Rule-based detection defines legitimate data of users over a period of time, and statistical detection defines it on an if-then basis. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. Statistical detection defines legitimate data of users over a period of time, and rule-based detection defines it on an if-then basis. Question 21. What is the difference between a threat and a risk? Option A. Threat represents a potential danger that could take advantage of a weakness, while the risk is the likelihood of a compromise or damage of an asset. Option B. Risk represents the known and identified loss or danger in the system, while threat is a non-identified impact of possible risks. Option C. Risk is the unintentional possibility of damages or harm to infrastructure, while the threats are certain and intentional. Option D. Threat is a state of being exposed to an attack or a compromise, while risk is the calculation of damage or potential loss affecting the organization from an exposure. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. Threat represents a potential danger that could take advantage of a weakness, while the risk is the likelihood of a compromise or damage of an asset. Question 22. Which attack method intercepts traffic on a switched network? Option A. Denial of service. Option B. ARP cache poisoning. Option C. DHCP snooping. Option D. Command and control. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B, ARP cache poisoning. Question 23. What does an attacker use to determine which network ports are listening on a potential target device? Option A. Man in the middle. Option B. Port scanning. Option C. SQL injection. Option D. Ping sweep. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B, port scanning. Question 24. What is the purpose of a vulnerability management framework? Option A. Identifies, removes, and mitigates system vulnerabilities. Option B. Detects and removes vulnerabilities in source code. Option C. Conducts vulnerability scans on the network. Option D. Manages a list of reported vulnerabilities. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A, identifies, removes, and mitigates system vulnerabilities. Question 25. A network engineer discovers that a foreign government hacked one of the defense contractors in their home country and stole intellectual property. What is the threat agent in this situation? Option A. The intellectual property that was stolen. Option B. The defense contractor who stored the intellectual property. Option C. The method used to conduct the attack. Option D. The foreign government that conducted the attack. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C, the method used to conduct the attack. Question 26. What is the practice of giving an employee access to only the resources needed to accomplish their job? Option A. Principle of least privilege. Option B. Organizational separation. Option C. Separation of duties. Option D. Need to know principle. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. Principle of least privilege. Question 27. Which metric is used to capture the level of access needed to launch a successful attack? Option A. Privileges required. Option B. User interaction. Option C. Attack complexity. Option D. Attack vector. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. Privileges required. Question 28. What is the difference between an attack vector and an attack surface? Option A. An attack surface identifies vulnerabilities that require user input or validation, and an attack vector identifies vulnerabilities that are independent of user actions. Option B. An attack vector identifies components that can be exploited, and an attack surface identifies the potential path an attack can take to penetrate the network. Option C. An attack surface recognizes which network paths are vulnerable to an attack, and an attack vector identifies which attacks are possible with these vulnerabilities. Option D. An attack vector identifies the potential outcomes of an attack, and an attack surface launches an attack using several methods against the identified vulnerabilities. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C. An attack surface recognizes which network paths are vulnerable to an attack, and an attack vector identifies which attacks are possible with these vulnerabilities. Question 29. Which metric in CVSS indicates an attack that takes a destination bank account number and replaces it with a different bank account number? Option A. Integrity. Option B. Confidentiality. Option C. Availability. Option D. Scope. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. Integrity. Question 30. A security specialist notices 100 HTTP GET and POST requests for multiple pages on the web servers. The agent in the requests contains PHP code that, if executed, creates and writes to a new PHP file on the web server. Which event category is described? Option A. Reconnaissance. Option B. Action on objectives. Option C. Installation. Option D. Exploitation. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D. Exploitation. Question 31. What specific type of analysis is assigning values to the scenario to see expected outcomes? Option A. Deterministic. Option B. Exploratory. Option C. Probabilistic. Option D. Descriptive. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. Deterministic. Question 32. When trying to evade IDs, IPS devices, which mechanism allows the user to make the data incomprehensible without a specific key, certificate, or password? Option A. Fragmentation. Option B. Pivoting. Option C. Encryption. Option D. Stenography. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C. Encryption. Question 33. Why is encryption challenging to security monitoring? Option A. Encryption analysis is used by attackers to monitor VPN tunnels. Option B. Encryption is used by threat actors as a method of evasion and obfuscation. Option C. Encryption introduces additional processing requirements by the CPU. Option D. Encryption introduces larger packet sizes to analyze and store. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. Encryption is used by threat actors as a method of evasion and obfuscation. Question 34. An employee reports that someone has logged into their system and made unapproved changes. Files are out of order, and several documents have been placed in the recycle bin. The security specialist reviewed the system logs, found nothing suspicious, and was not able to determine what occurred. The software is up to date. There are no alerts from antivirus and no failed login attempts, which is causing the lack of data visibility needed to detect the attack. Option A. The threat actor used a dictionary-based password attack to obtain credentials. Option B. The threat actor gained access to the system by known credentials. Option C. The threat actor used the teardrop technique to confuse and crash login services. Option D. The threat actor used an unknown vulnerability of the operating system that went undetected. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option B. The threat actor gained access to the system by known credentials. Question 35. A company receptionist received a threatening call referencing stealing assets and did not take any action, assuming it was a social engineering attempt. Within 48 hours, multiple assets were breached, affecting the confidentiality of sensitive information. Which is the threat actor in this incident? Option A. Company assets that are threatened. Option B. Customer assets that are threatened. Option C. Perpetrators of the attack. Option D. Victims of the attack. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option C. Perpetrators of the attack. Question 36. What is the relationship between a vulnerability and a threat? Option A. A threat exploits a vulnerability. Option B. A vulnerability is a calculation of the potential loss caused by a threat. Option C. A vulnerability exploits a threat. Option D. A threat is a calculation of the potential loss caused by a vulnerability. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option A. A threat exploits a vulnerability. Question 37. What is the principle of defense in depth? Option A. Agentless and agent-based protection for security are used. Option B. Several distinct protective layers are involved. Option C. Access control models are involved. Option D. Authentication, authorization, and accounting mechanisms are used. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option B. Several distinct protective layers are involved. Question 38. What is the difference between the rule-based detection when compared to behavioral detection? Option A. Rule-based detection is searching for patterns linked to specific types of attacks, while behavioral is identifying per signature. Option B. Rule-based systems have established patterns that do not change with new data, while behavioral changes. Option C. Behavioral systems are predefined patterns from hundreds of users, while rule-based only flags potentially abnormal patterns using signatures. Option D. Behavioral systems find sequences that match a particular attack signature, while rule-based identifies potential attacks. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option C. Behavioral systems are predefined patterns from hundreds of users, while rule-based only flags potentially abnormal patterns using signatures. Question 39. A security incident occurred with the potential of impacting business services. Who performs the attack? Option A. Threat actor. Option B. Malware author. Option C. Direct competitor. Option D. Bug bounty hunter. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option A. Threat actor. Question 40. How does a certificate authority impact security? Option A. It authenticates domain identity when requesting an SSL certificate. Option B. It validates client identity when communicating with the server. Option C. It authenticates client identity when requesting an SSL certificate. Option D. It validates the domain identity of the SSL certificate. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D. It validates the domain identity of the SSL certificate.